I opened a 5 yuan buffet in the university cafeteria. All you can eat. But I ended up getting reported by a new student. The reason was that he has a big appetite. Going back for seconds all the time made him feel embarrassed. It hurt his pride, so I was called in by the principal. He demanded humanistic care and forced me to make changes. Fine, I immediately canceled the buffet and switched to delicate small bowl dishes for 13 yuan each. One meat, one vegetable. Noon, the 26th. The cafeteria counter was bustling with noise. Steaming hot. Bro Lin, give me another scoop of mapo tofu. Bro you, is there any braised pork left? Give me a little more. The students took their trays, their faces filled with the pure joy brought by carbs and protein. Happy. The sign at the counter was simple and crude. Red background, yellow text. Lean Yu Kitchen. 5 yuan buffet. All you can eat. The food wasn't top tier, but it was definitely clean and generous. 6 meat, 6 veggie dishes, always piping hot. This was already my 3rd year, running a counter back in my alma mater. Thinking back to those days, I also relied on financial aid and the cafeteria ladies, giving me an extra scoop with a shaking hand to survive my poorest 4 years of college. So I came back to run this 5 yuan buffet, just wanting poor students to have a decent, filling meal. At this moment, an out-of-place figure emerged from the crowd, wearing flashy designer clothes and spotless limited edition sneakers. He looked extremely abrupt, standing in the greasy cafeteria. He held his tray and squeezed in front of me for the 4th time, his brows tightly knitted together. He squeezed the words out through his teeth. 2 more, his eyes darting everywhere, feeling like it was beneath him to even look at me. I recognized him. Freshman Zhao Xian drove a Porsche to school. That rich kid who was pretty famous on the campus forum. I didn't say a word, and quickly scooped a big spoon of sweet and sour pork for him, noticing the curious stares from the students around him. His face instantly flushed red, his eyes full of anger from being watched. He picked up his tray and fled in a panic. Watching his back, I just found it funny, having to put on such airs just to get a full meal. I didn't take it seriously at first, but the next day, a phone call brought me straight into the principal's office. Principal Zhang was in his 50s, usually wearing a fake bureaucratic smile. But today, he had a straight face. Shaolin, have a seat. Following the direction of his finger, I sat on the leather sofa. The AC blew straight onto the back of my neck. Chilly. He didn't even waste any breath, slapping a stack of paper onto the mahogany desk with a smack. Take a look at this. I picked it up and saw that it was actually a report letter. The title was bolded. Lean Yu Kitchen Counter Lacks Humanistic Care. Hurts Students' Pride. Skipping a bunch of nonsense. My eyes locked directly onto the core content. The counter is nominally a buffet, but actually requires queuing repeatedly for food, which is a public execution, severely hurting the pride of students with superior family backgrounds, who have big appetites, offering absolutely no dining dignity, and lacking humanistic care. Seeing the words superior family backgrounds, Zhao Xian's flushed red face instantly flashed in my mind. I was so angry I almost laughed out loud. It was simply absurd to the extreme. Just as I was about to explain, Principal Zhang directly raised his hand to interrupt, leaning back in his boss chair. His index fingers crossed over his belly. Shaolin, your original intention was good, wanting to take care of poor students. The school fully recognizes that. But a university is a place to educate people. We have to take care of everyone's feelings, especially for those psychologically sensitive students from good backgrounds. You make him repeatedly squeeze in to get more food. What do you think? He'd feel like he's being watched like a glutton, staring at his deadpan face. An inexplicable anger rushed straight to my head. In order to feed 100 poor kids, I have to pander to the face of a giant baby and get labeled as lacking humanistic care. The sign clearly says 5 yuan buffet. If he thinks it's embarrassing, he can go to another counter or take more at once. You still don't get it. This is a matter of the model, a matter of orientation. We have to cultivate decent consumption concepts in our students. Your all-you-can-eat model just encourages cheapskates, hindering students from cultivating elegant tastes. I repeated these 4 words, only feeling a bitter taste in my mouth. Thinking of how I myself, in order to save $2 back then, could only stare dead-eyed at the cheapest veggie dishes. Talking about elegance with starving poor students. is simply a joke, right? Elegance. This matter has an extremely bad impact. It damages the school's image. You must make rectifications. Otherwise, when the contract is up next year, we'll reevaluate. Staring at that hypocritical face, a chest full of anger was forcefully stuck in my throat. He didn't care about the student's life or death at all. He only cared about his proper image and the official title on his head. The fire in my heart burned so much that my organs ached. A few seconds later, I forced out an extremely submissive smile. The principal is right. My perspective was too narrow. I will rectify it immediately, reflect deeply, and guarantee to improve humanistic care. I will absolutely let every student eat decently and with dignity. Those few damn words were emphasized heavily by me. Principal Zhang nodded in satisfaction, waving his hand to dismiss me. I turned and closed the heavy mahogany door, completely cutting off that smug face. In the empty corridor, I leaned against the cold wall and gripped my phone, my knuckles turning white. I didn't call the ingredient suppliers, but directly dialed the head of the renovation crew. Captain Liu, come to the counter tomorrow. Smash it all and rebuild it. Boss Lin, hasn't school just started? I cut him off directly, my voice chilling to the bone. I'll pay extra. Early the next morning, my counter was tightly covered by a giant red cloth. Tightly. On the red cloth was an A4 printed paper. Internal upgrade. The dining experience will be reshaped. Please look forward to it. The signature boldly read, Lean U Kitchen. This sudden change left the students of the third cafeteria totally baffled. What's going on? Brolin isn't running the buffet anymore. It was fine yesterday. I haven't even eaten enough of that goberry yet. He didn't get reported, did he? I heard some idiot thought $5 was too cheap and lower their class. Students gathered in front of the counter, discussing fervently. Threads about the closure instantly blew up on the campus forum. Speculations, regrets, and worries, all sorts of emotions fermented wildly. I just took 3 days off, turned off my phone, and ignored everyone. Under the power of money, the renovation crew worked with shocking efficiency, smashing walls, wiring, painting, installing lights, banging and clattering for 2 whole days and nights. On the morning of the third day, as the first ray of sunlight hit the cafeteria, my counter was completely reborn. I personally ripped off that giant red cloth. The crowd of students instantly drew a collective breath of cold air. The sight before them left them completely speechless. The formerly plain, down-to-earth, and even slightly greasy serving counter was gone, replaced by a minimalist, even somewhat ascetic and high-end storefront. On the dark gray diatom mud background wall, 4 large artistic characters read, Lin's small bowl dishes. Warm yellow spotlights shone down from above, illuminating rows of brand new, delicate white porcelain bowls. The food in the bowls, every single portion, looked like an expensive work of art that had been precisely calculated and plated. Exactly 3 pieces of braised pork, no more, no less. A thin layer of mapo tofu paved the bottom of the bowl, pretentiously garnished with 2 bits of chopped green onion on top. A few lonely leaves of stir-fried greens lay inside, making me feel lonely just looking at them. This tiny amount was just about equal to the scraps that would fall out when my hand shook while serving food before. The price list, standing next to it, was 100 times more artistic than the dishes. Meat dishes, 13 yuan each. Veggie dishes, 8 yuan each. Rice, 2 yuan a bowl. Limit 1 bowl per person. A guy shakily took out his phone to use the calculator, and then let out a tragic wail. 1 meat, 1 veggie, 1 bowl of rice. $23, and that's just the starting price. Am I blind? I used to eat till I was stuffed for $5. Now $23 is barely enough to fill the gaps in my teeth. Boss, are you crazy? Were you abducted by aliens? This is highway robbery. A hot-tempered sports student roared at me on the spot. The crowd completely exploded, from shock to confusion, and finally evolving into towering rage. I wore a newly tailored black uniform, embroidered with gold thread on the chest, were the 2 words Lean U, clean-shaven, and hairstyled immaculately. My face was frozen with an impeccable professional fake smile. Facing their questioning, I spoke slowly and unhurriedly, my voice not loud, but every word clear. Don't get excited, students. The counter's current. Major consumption upgrade is in response to the school's call for humanistic care. I paused deliberately and patted the line next to the price list. An oversized printed promotional slogan. I clear my throat. One portion per person. No need for seconds. Using elegance to protect your fragile pride. This sentence was like an ice cube thrown into boiling oil, instantly detonating a wave of mockery. Absolute, naked, undisguised, crazy mockery. Which college student isn't smart? Protect your fragile pride. These words woke everyone up in an instant. Everyone looked at each other, the anger on their faces, instantly turning into the absurdity of sudden realization. Holy shit, I get it now. So, the rumors on the forum a few days ago about Bro Lin getting reported were true, just because of some idiot's pride. Now none of us have the 5 yuan buffet anymore. The crowd's anger finally started changing targets. A few people turned around and left in a huff. More people froze in place, looking at the outrageous prices, not daring to step forward at all. At the very edge of the crowd, a frail figure had been standing for a long time. It was Su Yao, the poor girl who always waited until closing time and only dared to buy veggie dishes, wearing a faded, old t-shirt. Her pretty face was full of helpless confusion. Her eyes stared fixedly at the price list for a long time, so long that I thought she was going to step forward and speak. But she didn't say half a word. She just silently lowered her head, tightly clutching the pocket of her faded jeans. I could even clearly see the shape outlined by those pitifully few coins in her pocket. Finally, she turned around and walked silently toward the counter next door that only sold plain steamed buns and watery porridge, $2 for a dry bun, and a bowl of porridge so thin you could see your reflection. This was her lunch for today. Looking at her lonely back, it felt like my chest was viciously stabbed. This retaliatory counterattack had ultimately ended up hurting the most innocent person. In that exact second, a flash of extreme pity and hesitation crossed my heart. But looking up, seeing my own fake, smiling face reflected on the glass, and the extremely glaring slogan behind me, all my pity instantly turned into endless coldness. There's no turning back once the bow is drawn. Since kindness couldn't earn respect, then let everyone get a good taste of the heavy price of this elegance and decency. Lin's small bowl dishes reached its peak performance, though of course that was just a peak number of onlookers. Very few were actually willing to cough up the money to be suckers. Most people voted with their feet, preferring to go back to their dorms and gnaw on instant noodles, over being fresh leeks waiting to be harvested. By 12:30 p.m., the lunch rush was almost over. Today's main character finally made his grand entrance. Zhao Xian, trailing a few flamboyantly dressed cronies. He swaggered over with an arrogant gait. From far away, he spotted my newly renovated high-end counter, and his face instantly filled with the arrogant smugness of a victor. In this young master's eyes, this massive overhaul of mine was absolutely a surrender to his report. He deliberately raised his voice, showing off wildly to the lackeys beside him. See that? This is what it should look like. A university cafeteria needs to have some class. Fighting for food with refugees before was just so basic. Exactly, Brother Xian is so right. Brother Xian is the one with taste. He knows how to defend his rights. Amidst a chorus of mindless flattery, Zhao Xian, like a tyrant inspecting his territory, strutted over to the counter with an obnoxious walk. Just as he was about to order, his gaze swept over that row of delicate small bowl dishes, and he nodded incredibly pretentiously. Then his eyes swept to the side, onto the price list. In the next second, the arrogant smile on his face was welded shut, looking like somebody hit the pause button. One portion of braised pork. 10. 13. He read out the numbers as if his tongue was tied, simply unable to believe his own eyes, looking like he wanted to press his face against it for another look. After confirming he wasn't blind, he snapped his head up and glared dead at me. Linyu, did you rim this pork with gold? 3 pieces of meat for 13. Why don't you just go rob someone? This shout was incredibly shrill, forcefully dragging the dispersing crowd back. They all gathered around to watch the show. The curve of my lips didn't even shift. My perfect professional fake smile even grew a bit more radiant. Hello, Student Zhao. Dedicated to serving you. I leaned my body slightly forward, busting out the attitude of waiting on a VIP, and started speaking in a soft, gentle voice. Student Zhao, you've really misunderstood. These sky-high prices of ours are purely to fully protect your pride in every way. Look at you with your amazing appetite, showing what a great body you have. In the past, eating one portion felt like too little, and eating 5 portions felt embarrassing. Lining up again for seconds is such a loss of face, right? Well, now it's great. If you want 5 portions of braised pork, just swipe your card. 5 portions for 65, 10 portions for 130. To a rich young master like you, that's just pocket change, isn't it? Take it all away at once. Sit down elegantly and bid a permanent farewell to the hassle of queuing and the stares of others. This is what you call absolute decency, absolute dignity. I purposely emphasized the word student Zhao heavily. None of the college students around were idiots. Hearing this, they instantly understood everything. Everyone's gaze, like searchlights, snapped right onto Zhao Xian. Holy crap, so was him. He's the weirdo rich kid who reported the 5 yuan buffet, just because you alone felt embarrassed. Now the whole school can't have cheap meals. Are you out of your fucking mind? You eat too much, so you report the cafeteria. What kind of bizarre logic is that? The surrounding accusations, curses, and looks of contempt engulfed Zhao Xian like a tidal wave from all directions. That pampered, pale face of his instantly choked into a purplish red. He fell straight from the peak of showing off into the abyss of panic. It wasn't me. Stop talking nonsense, he babbled in a panic, trying desperately to deny it. How could I possibly give him a chance to turn this around? I immediately interrupted him with extreme thoughtfulness, my voice full of concern. Oh, my student Zhao, please don't get excited. Everyone really has no bad intentions. They just envy your good appetite and good family background. In order to provide you with the most top-tier dining experience, we even specially launched a supreme set meal. I smoothly pointed to a small sign that had just been erected nearby. 188 yuan per person. It includes 1 portion of all 10 small bowl dishes available today, plus special desserts and imported fruit juice. After you order, you don't even have to get up. We'll have a dedicated server bring it straight to you on a tray. One-on-one service the whole time, absolutely undisturbed. Guaranteed to make you feel truly honorable. I don't know who couldn't hold it in first, but then the entire cafeteria completely erupted in roof-lifting roars of laughter. This wave of mockery was 10,000 times more fatal than pointing at his nose and cursing him out. It was like countless poison needles, instantly piercing Zhao Xian's pathetic, laughable pride, full of holes, enduring the mockery and glares of the entire crowd. His lips trembled wildly, but he couldn't force out a single word. Finally, he shoved his cronies aside. What are you looking at? And fled out of the cafeteria in total disgrace, his tail between his legs. That miserable figure, fleeing in panic, looked 10,000 times uglier than when he was holding his tray, begging for food. Watching his disastrous escape, the smile on my face remained frozen, but my eyes were as cold as ice. Don't be in a rush, young Master Zhao. This is just the beginning. Didn't you want dignity? I will absolutely stuff it down your throat multiplied until it thoroughly crushes you. Zhao Xian's social death this time came even faster and more furiously than I had expected. That afternoon, the entire C University campus forum completely crashed. That man has returned with his sky-high, small bowl dishes. A deep dive expose the bizarre freshman who single-handedly ruined the whole school's foodie paradise. Deep analysis, from 5 yuan buffet to sky-high small bowls. Exactly whose pride is acting up? All sorts of explosive condemnation posts took over the whole screen like wildly growing mushrooms. Zhao Xian's secrets were completely exposed. His name, his college, his class. Even a pretentious photo of him driving a Porsche to registration was pinned to the homepage. He successfully broke C University history, setting a glorious record of becoming the school's public enemy. In less than a month since enrolling, walking on campus, the whole world was pointing fingers behind his back, hiding back in his dorm. His roommates all treated him like thin air. The atmosphere freezing cold. This young master was thoroughly panicking. As a rich kid held in the palm of hands since childhood, this was the first time in his life he tasted the brutal beating of being universally condemned. He couldn't figure out for the life of him. He was obviously just defending his rights, pursuing an elegant style. So how did it end up like this? In his exasperation, he did something even more astronomically stupid. Secretly registered an alt account on the forum to spam posts, wildly steering the narrative, inciting the whole school to go complain about me in the principal's inbox. I'd even figured out the charges he came up with. Lean Yu Kitchen maliciously raises prices. Price gouging. Severely disrupting operations. Wildly harvesting student leaks. He attempted to wash clean his identity as the bizarre reporter, and forcibly put on a halo of a righteous whistleblower, directing the towering rage all towards my head. And honestly, this act of a corner dog jumping the wall really kind of worked. Quite a few onlookers unaware of the truth. And those poor students who truly missed the 5 yuan buffet were actually completely brainwashed by him. Honestly, this desperate move actually works a bit. Many clueless onlookers, and those poor students who really missed the 5 yuan buffet, were completely fooled by him. Everyone thinks that even if Zhao Xian is a dumbass, my retaliatory price hike is too ruthless. Basically a kamikaze move, hurting myself more than him, and purely dragging down the innocent. In the blink of an eye, complaint letters about my malicious price hikes were like a blizzard, stuffing Principal Zhang's inbox to the bursting point. Unsurprisingly, I got called in for a chat by the principal again. Still that cold office. Still that bureaucratic Principal Zhang. But this time I'm no longer that humble, easily manipulated cafeteria boss. I was clutching a thick folder in my hand, my face written all over with absolute confidence, not even giving him the chance to speak first. I went right up to him, extremely respectfully slapped the folder onto the mahogany desk, and pulled a brilliantly fake, sycophantic smile. Principal, reporting to you. Our rectification work is a huge success. Principal Zhang was taken aback by my baffling enthusiasm, stunned for a second, his body instinctively flipping open a folder. A beautifully laid out, richly illustrated printed copy of a killer PPT was shoved right his face. The word art title was stunningly huge. On upgrading cafeteria service quality and practicing humanistic care, a phased results report. The report crazily piled on words like refinement, standardization, quantification, sense of ritual, and sense of dignity. All the bureaucratic ass-kissing buzzwords he loved to hear. The pictures were even better. They were all in my new window, decorated like a high-end Japanese restaurant, plus those small white porcelain bowls, and flawless HD close-ups of the artistic dishes. I swiped my finger across the photos and began my ultimate performance. Look, Principal. After our wave of consumption upgrades, we've completely severed at the root the inferiority and comparing brought about by students, constantly asking for extra food, fully implementing small bowls strictly controls portion sizes, absolutely and effectively preventing waste, closely following the overarching direction of thriftiness. The best part is, this dining environment is completely reborn. When students eat, it's full of dignity and a sense of ritual. This is all implementing your brilliant directives on educating people, sir. I was spewing this stuff out like crazy, my eyes glued to Principal Zhang's micro-expressions. That old face went from stern at the beginning to slowly widening eyes, and finally, he couldn't hold it back, his whole face showing ecstasy and appreciation. What old foxes like this want most? Isn't it just face and an air of righteousness? This bullshit report I made up basically scratched his itch perfectly. Whether poor students starve, or if the food is expensive, is none of his damn business. As long as I take his blind orders and package them up beautifully, even elevating them to the level of educational philosophy. Taking this to give a presentation to higher-ups would absolutely be an earth-shattering prime example. Good, excellent. Shaolin, this ideological awareness of yours. This execution is simply phenomenal. You handled this beautifully. Highly forward-thinking. He pointed at the computer. Don't have any psychological burden. Go all out and do it. The school will always have your back. Having said that, he pulled out a red pen and dashed off 2 massive words, flamboyantly across the front page of my report. Excellent. And slapped on his resounding personal signature for good measure. I clutched this bullshit report that had just become my get-out-of-jail-free card. and strutted out of the office. Right out the door, a few anxiously waiting student reps crashed into my line of sight. They were all here to protest the price hike and beg for the return of the 5 yuan buffet. Seeing me come out, the group instantly swarmed up with hopeful eyes, Lin bro, without even waiting for them to speak. I helplessly, right from the middle, shoved the report in my hand right into their faces. Everyone clearly saw on the front page those two glaring words hand-approved. By Principal Zhang. Excellent. In that exact second, I watched with my own eyes as the light in their eyes snapped and completely shattered. Shock, confusion, anger, finally all dissolved into a pool of stagnant despair. They completely realized that this so-called fight for their rights had been lost tragically, lost to disgusting bureaucracy, lost to vanity projects, and lost even more to that hypocrite, with a mouth full of morality and virtue. Clutching this victorious report, I actually didn't feel the slightest bit of satisfaction. Defeating magic with magic looks pretty satisfying, but seeing these poor students forced into such expressions of despair, my heart still uncontrollably plummeted. This shocking farce caused by a giant baby of a rich kid was dragging all the innocent people tightly into a bottomless black hole. The Lin's small bowl farce ended just as absurdly as that. Wearing the halo of official principal certification, my sky-high priced window actually became the school's hot billboard for promoting consumption upgrades. No one came to complain anymore because everyone knew complaining was utterly useless. In front of my window, it was so dead quiet you couldn't even see a ghost. After grinding out a whole day, revenue wouldn't even hit $100. I didn't care at all. Every day, I hid behind the window, wearing earbuds, reading ebooks, and casually doing background research for my next catering plan. But once Pandora's box is opened, there's no way I can close it alone. This wave of consumption upgrades I started swept through the entire third cafeteria in the blink of an eye. The nearby bosses saw that although my business was dismal, I got praised by the principal, and suddenly every single one of them got crooked ideas. They calculated shrewdly. Swap big trays of food for small bowls. Hike up the unit price, and the profit actually doubles. It wasn't long before a second small bowl place popped up, then a third, a fourth. In just half a month, all the damn windows in the third cafeteria followed the trend and upgraded. Prices skyrocketed crazily, while portions were so stingy they wouldn't even fill a cavity. The food cost for the whole cafeteria went from 7 or 8 yuan per person, straight to starting at 20 yuan. The college kids were now thoroughly trapped in a dining death spiral. The whole cafeteria was full of people cursing, but no one could do anything about these bloodsuckers. The cafeteria became a place they couldn't afford to step into. Instant noodles, dry bread, and compressed biscuits were forced to become the lifeline rations for these young people. Walking around campus, you could see everywhere figures huddled in hallways and by flower beds, silently gnawing on dry bread. The youthful vigor they were supposed to have was entirely, forcibly crushed by these heavy food costs. Watching these scenes every day, my heart felt like it was stuffed with waterlogged cotton, suffocatingly tight. My desperate counterattack, meant to be a swift blade slicing down my enemy, also ended up slashing innocent people until they bled profusely. There were no classes this afternoon, so I hid in the library to look up chain restaurant info. The library was dead silent, with only the sound of turning pages and the hum of the AC. I was right in the middle of reading when a muffled gasp, accompanied by the loud crash of a chair hitting the floor, instantly tore through the quiet. Hey, what's wrong with you? Someone help. Hurry, someone fainted. I jerked my head up. Not far away, a crowd had suddenly formed a circle. My heart skipped a beat. I dropped my book and rushed over. Pushing through the crowd, a pale face I knew to my very bones smashed hard into my sight. It was that poor girl, Su Yao, lying on the cold floor tiles. Her eyes were tightly shut, lips dry and peeling, without even a hint of color to be found. That painfully thin body was like a dead leaf. Any random gust of wind could blow her away. Everyone stand back. Let me see. With a thud, I dropped to one knee, reaching out to check her breathing and carotid artery. Thank God. It was just hypoglycemia coupled with severe malnutrition. She passed out from hunger. I quickly called for people to help carry her to lay flat on a nearby sofa. Just then, a guy rushed downstairs to buy glucose and soft bread. In no time, the stuff was shoved into my hands. I twisted off the cap and along the corner of her mouth, carefully poured in a few mouthfuls of life-saving sugar water. After swallowing the sugar water, her long eyelashes fluttered twice, and she finally struggled to peel her eyelids open, her gaze hazy, unable to find focus. When she made out that the person holding her tight was me, her pupils instantly shrank to pinpricks, her eyes full of an indescribable complexity. Amidst the panic, there was even a hint of incredibly glaring shame. Relying on one breath, she tried to struggle up, but I pinned her firmly back onto the sofa. Don't move around. Lie still. Thank you, Lin bro. I'm really okay now. Seeing she had recovered a bit, I casually handed the bread over, but she bit her lip hard and shook her head frantically. I didn't dare force it on her, so I could only sit with her like a wooden stump. A moment later, her roommate came bursting out of the study room covered in sweat, face scared, completely pale, handing Suyao over to her roommate. I stared at the two of them supporting each other as they shuffled out, my chest feeling like it had been pumped full of lead. Suyao's roommate suddenly turned her head and called out to me. The words stuck in her throat just couldn't be held back anymore. Lin bro. Do you know? Ever since the 5 yuan buffet got wrecked, the whole cafeteria has been following the trend and jacking up prices. Suyao, to squeeze out money to send back to her hometown, has been roughing it for almost half a month, relying on just 2 plain steamed buns a day to survive. Before she even finished speaking, her voice was already full of an unrestrainable, sobbing tone. My heart felt like it was grabbed and ruthlessly squeezed by an invisible bloody hand. Hurting so much, I sharply sucked in a breath of cold air. I sprinted after them in 2 or 3 strides, tore open my wallet, yanked out $200, and forcefully shoved it into the palm of Suyao's hand. Take it. Like she had touched a branding iron, Suyao violently yanked her hand back like she'd been electrocuted. The bills instantly scattered all over the floor. Her reaction was terrifyingly massive, her eye sockets instantly turning bright red. No, I absolutely cannot take this. Limbro, I appreciate the thought, but I'd rather die than take this money. Inside this skin and bones body was a fierce, unbending poor person's pride firmly propping her up. I gritted my teeth and squatted down, picking up the bills off the floor one by one, and forced them into her hand again, gripping so hard my knuckles went white. Just treat it as a loan for me. You really don't want to keep fainting on the floor? Making your roommate and your mom back in your hometown worry, do you? Pay me back when you graduate and strike it rich. If nothing else, come do odd jobs at my window to pay off the debt. Meals included. My tone was absolute, completely giving her no room to back down. Suyao stared at me intensely, the tears she'd held back for so long finally breaking the dam. She didn't push it back anymore, just gripped the money tightly to her chest, buried her head, shoulders shaking crazily, gently patting her thin back. My heart was full of a stabbing pain like being twisted by a knife. An insane self-blame. I originally thought I was playing a satisfying game of counter-killing an evil dragon, but I completely failed to see that in this crossfire, innocent scapegoats were being burned alive. This wave of revenge to ruin Zhao Xian. Was it actually a sin I committed? I never in a million years thought that Su Yao fainting in the library would actually become the mega fuse that ignited the powder keg. That very midnight, it smashed into the campus forum, using word after word of blood-weeping despair, dropping a massive, earth-shattering expose overnight. The post title was incredibly long, like a sharp knife plunged straight into everyone's main artery. When a girl sending living expenses back home faints from hunger in the library, should we finally reflect on ourselves? The whole post didn't have a single curse word. It just peeled back like an onion and tore open the bloody truth. From a safe haven of a 5 yuan all-you-can-eat, to being reported and entirely wiped out by some rich young master. From a sudden arrival of sky-high priced small bowls, to the whole cafeteria sucking blood and hiking prices like rabid dogs. From the tragic reality of Su Yao's finances being emptied out, to how, just to stay alive, she desperately hung on with only 2 dry buns a day. The ending directly threw out a photo from the ER. Cold for fluid going into a wrist as thin as dry firewood. The needle making people's skin crawl. This long post, written in blood and tears, was like a nuclear warhead, blasting a mushroom cloud directly over the late-night college campus. That mob of keyboard warriors who previously cursed me crazily for retaliatory prize hikes instantly turned mute after reading the post. All the angry tirades were completely crushed by an incredibly suffocating sorrow and pangs of a guilty conscience. An hour later, a tech god swooped into the forum and threw out backend data, the alt-account IP address that incited everyone to complain to the inbox about me, highly overlapped with the Zhao Xian who viciously flamed the 5 yuan buffet. The truth was like a solid iron hammer, smashing into everyone's face. Completely irrefutable. Public opinion instantly reversed polarity. Did we all wrongly blame Boss Lin? Deep dive expose how the exquisite egoist Zhao Xian dragged the whole school's cafeterias under. Boss Lin wasn't retaliating at all. He was using a self-destructive method to tear open this school's most absurd reality. The winds on campus had totally shifted. The students were no longer chasing after me to curse me out and started digging the whole story completely down to its roots. Everyone had woken up. I wasn't the main culprit at all. I was just a scapegoat pushed to the edge, sounding the alarm in a self-destructive way. The real villain was that reporting dog hiding under the guise of self-esteem, extremely selfish and self-serving, and that high and mighty, bureaucratic principal full of talk about humanistic care, who didn't give a damn if students lived or died. Everyone's chests full of fury, like precision-guided missiles, fully bombarded the instigator. Zhao Xian this time wasn't just experiencing a simple social death. This was being a public enemy of everyone in the truest sense. He directly devolved into C universities, living rat crossing the street that everyone on campus wanted to beat. Going to class. He always had a 2-meter radius vacuum isolation zone around him. Going to the courts to play ball. The basketball in his hands would always get accidentally knocked away, and then kicked straight into a nearby trash can. Hiding back in his dorm, his roommates either treated him like he was invisible, or they put on headphones and blasted heavy metal music to the max. When he ordered takeout to the downstairs lobby, by the time he went down to get it, it was either stomped to mush or deliberately filled with muddy water by someone. This rich young master finally tasted what it meant to have absolutely zero dignity. It wasn't about queuing twice for food, but being utterly isolated in a school of tens of thousands, being treated by everyone as a pile of stinking garbage. In a panic, he opened a thread on the forum to make excuses, saying he only wanted to maintain the dining environment and never expected things to turn out like this. Less than 10 minutes after posting, the comment section instantly had nearly 1,000 replies cursing him out, every single one ruthlessly poking his spine. You drove Su Yao into a dead end, and now you want to wash yourself clean? Your elegant environment is built by trampling on the rice bowls of poor students. Terrified, he was flamed so hard he speedily deleted the thread, deactivated his account overnight, and ran away. Some absolute madman directly took his bullshit complaint letter, along with my protecting fragile egos slogan, printed it into posters, and plastered them all over the school's bulletin boards. A 24/7 nonstop, insane public execution. Zhao Xian completely broke down. This incredibly arrogant 19-year-old rich kid, for the first time in his life, had his neck gripped tightly by an inescapable fear. He wasn't afraid of getting beaten up at all, but rather the pervasive cold stares of the whole school and the silent judgment. When I heard all this from Su Yao's mouth, I was standing in my deserted window, teaching her hand by hand how to use the cash register system. I hired her for a work-study job, room and board included, not a penny less in wages. After listening to this extremely satisfying scene, it didn't even stir up a ripple in my heart. Just work here. Don't worry about anything else. If the sky falls, I'll hold it up. Seeing this girl, because she could eat a full meal, finally showing some color in her cheeks, I felt this was way better than beating 10 Zhao Xians, reduced to a public enemy of the whole school. After enduring it for a whole week, Zhao Xian's psychological defenses were completely shattered into dust. Late Friday night, as I was getting ready to pull down the shutter and close up shop, a gaunt, ghost-like figure suddenly staggered to the front of the window. It was Zhao Xian. His designer clothes were wrinkled like a rag, his greasy hair plastered to his forehead in strands, my sockets sunken in, eyeballs entirely bloodshot. That arrogant top-tier rich kid who used to walk with a swagger had literally become a begging hobo. The instant he met my eyes, his knees went weak, and with a thud, he was about to drop forcefully to his knees right in front of me. I was quick and dodged to the side. Lin, bro, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. He didn't even care about the pain, desperately crawling towards me on the floor, but was frozen in place by my incredibly icy glare. I was wrong, Lin, bro. I really shouldn't have reported you. I shouldn't have been so selfish. I'm just a purebred massive idiot. I'm begging you, change the 5 yuan buffet back. I'll go kowtow and apologize to the whole school if I have to. He was crying so hard, he was convulsing, promising profusely that he was willing to pay out of his own pocket to cover the cafeteria's losses, as long as he could flip the sky back to how it was. He said he was about to be driven insane by the whole school, but he couldn't stand being in this school for another second. Looking down from above, I stared at him intently, looking at this trash who previously used self-esteem as a knife and was now using pity as a bargaining chip. Now you know you were wrong? It's too late. Pulling out my phone, I clicked open a hidden folder and directly hit the play button. An incredibly clear voice recording instantly echoed through the empty cafeteria. That was my trump card, secretly recorded in my pocket. The first time I went into the principal's office. In the recording, Principal Zhang was perfectly maintaining his bureaucratic tone, full of talk about humanistic care and educational philosophy. Exposing one's appetite in full view of the public is equivalent to public execution, greatly harming superior students' personal privacy and self-esteem. Every single word in the recording was like a massive slap soaked in salt water, frantically striking across Zhao Xian's face. Hearing his own previously stupid and toxic self-esteem theory being dubbed back up, his whole face went instantly deathly pale, then immediately turned liver purple. Extreme shame, remorse, and despair all mixed together, twisting his whole face like a miserable ghost. Clown, I cut off the recording. Young Master Zhao, you got one thing wrong. I changed the window. Not at all because of your damn complaint letter. It was the brilliant decision of the school's top brass. I'm just someone doing a job for money. Open your eyes wide and look. This noble small bowl model right now, Principal Zhang is incredibly satisfied with. He even personally approved it as excellent. It's the positive model strongly promoted by the whole school. How could I dare change it back just for your one word of regret? Wouldn't that be a massive slap to the principal's face? I'm just a lowly food vendor. Where'd I get the nerve? These few words. I was like a rusty, blunt knife, brutally cutting off his last lifeline. He slumped on the ground like a pile of mud, completely turning into a walking corpse. I didn't even bother to give him a glance. I just stepped around this piece of trash, walked to the door, and grabbed the rolling shutter's ring. The heavy metal shutter crashed down, shutting his utterly desperate screams. Completely outside the door, being soft on your enemies is putting a knife to your own throat. This bloody lesson is already carved into my bones. However good it felt when you stepped on me to show off back then, that's how hard I'll make you crash into the mud today. It's only fair. What goes around comes around. This saying, I've fully experienced it lately. Su Yao fainting from hunger plus Zhao Xian becoming the whole school's public enemy completely blew the lid off the cafeteria price hike. A grand 985 university. University C usually cares about its face above all else. Well, look at it now. Under the school's official admissions post, the comment section got absolutely obliterated. The top comment was incredibly savage. Welcome to apply to University C. Experience the sky-high 26 yuan mini bowl meals. Let us help you control your weight, experience starvation, and forcibly cure your food addiction. Below were thousands of perfectly lined up mocking replies. Furious parents, hearing their kids were gnawing on dry bread at school every day and getting malnourished from hunger, completely blew up the principal's office phone, swearing at the school for being money hungry and completely disregarding the students' lives. Even worse, a major local food reviewing influencer somehow caught wind of it and came to the school specifically to do an undercover investigation. They churned out a video overnight with a terrifyingly clickbait title exposing the 985 University's sky-high cafeteria. Is it humanistic care, or are they just ruthlessly harvesting the students like leeks? In the video, my delicate mini bowls and the ridiculous trendy dishes were filmed relentlessly. They even specifically interviewed a few poor students squatting by the road, gnawing on dry bread. The video wasn't long, but the sarcasm was maxed out. It completely took over the local social media feeds overnight. Now, Principal Zhang, that old man's seat was truly getting scorching hot. Accountability from higher-ups, overwhelming public opinion, plus the insane complaints from parents, pressed down on his head like 3 massive mountains. Unsurprisingly, I was once again, and for the last time, invited to drink tea. Except this time, the tables had completely turned. Gone was the high and mighty posturing, and gone was that disgusting bureaucratic talk. The old fox personally brewed me a cup of top-tier Longjing tea, his face plastered with a fawning fake smile. First, he hypocritically praised me for being innovative and having a big-picture mindset. Then the tone shifted. "Little Lin, you've been working hard lately, but we have to combine our work with reality, right? College student spending power is what is. Lately, the school is also facing immense pressure from all sides. So, see if we can be a bit flexible here. Lower the prices a bit, or just revert to the old model entirely." He chose his words incredibly carefully, his eyes full of humble probing and pleading. I steadily picked up the teacup, blew on the leaves, and didn't even take a sip. I slowly looked up and pulled off an incredibly wronged and utterly helpless, perfect expression. "Principal, that's impossible. This mini bowl concept was personally approved by you and personally signed off as an excellent rectification case. I'm still holding the black and white documents right here. It hasn't even been that long, and we change it just like that? Wouldn't that be admitting we were giving blind orders and violently slapping our own faces? Besides, I counted on my fingers for him. To answer your glorious call, I went broke doing the renovations, buying equipment and ordering tableware. I even redid the brand packaging. Now, with one word to change back, who's going to reimburse the hard cash I threw into it? Principal, our school's reputation is paramount. It doesn't matter if a lowly food vendor like me loses a bit of money. But if word gets out that the leaders of the Grand University make blind, impulsive decisions, what happens to the school's reputation? Every single word I said was like a poison needle, every strike avoiding the armor and piercing straight through the main artery. You forced me to change it, and you praised me for changing it. And now you're the one shamelessly begging me to change it back. Are you paying for it? Do you even care about your dignity anymore?" Principal Zhang choked hard on my words, unable to utter a single sound for ages. His old face turned a spectacularly dark, liver-red hue. This old geezer had probably lived most of his life without ever being held in a chokehold by an ant in his eyes. So firmly like this. He wanted to flip the table in rage, but didn't have the balls. He wanted to reason with me, but found that out of my mouth came all the bullshit logic he had used to suppress me back then. What goes around comes around. Back then you acted all high and mighty, threatening me with a contract. Now it's your turn to act like a lowly beggar pleading with me, looking at his face, wanting to kill me, but unable to take me down. That foul breath I'd held in my chest for almost a month was finally exhaled completely and refreshingly. It felt so fucking good. The negotiation broke down entirely without any suspense. I played the dead pig unafraid of boiling water the whole time, pouring out my grievances in every way possible and playing the victim. I just slapped a ridiculously long reimbursement receipt right on his face. Renovation, equipment, lost wages, design, plus the mental distress from my fright, all calculated perfectly clearly. It added up to exactly this amount. Unless the school settles this bill in full for me. Otherwise, I can only tearfully stick with these sky-high mini bowls to the bitter end. After all, business is business. Principal Zhang stared at that extortionate receipt, his hands shaking wildly with anger. He pointed at my nose, fuming for ages, and finally slammed the door in a rage, and left. I knew perfectly well in my heart he was absolutely never going to cough up this money. The money wasn't a lot, but to squeeze it out of the school's public account was not only a procedural nightmare, but also easily caught by superiors as leverage. He was just hoping I wouldn't be able to hold out and would cave on my own, honestly carrying this black pot squarely on my back. But I deliberately went against his wishes. The day after the breakdown, I went straight to Su Yao. The girl was hiding in the kitchen, humming a tune, chopping shredded potatoes. Her knife skills looking pretty decent. I walked over and took a flash drive packed with nuclear-level dirt and slapped it right in her hand. High-res scans of Zhao Xian's ridiculous original report letter. The unedited audio recording of the principal dodging blame. From my first time in his office. Close-ups of that blindingly outstanding rectification report. And the tragic, contrasting photos before and after the price hike. Of what was in the poor students' bowls. Worlds apart. Xiao Yao. You do whatever you see fit with this stuff. I'm really tired. I just want to run an honest little business. And let the poor kids have a full meal. Why is it so fucking hard? My tone was filled with the deep exhaustion and helplessness of being pushed to a dead end. Su Yao tightly gripped that cold flash drive, her knuckles turning white. Brother Ming, I understand completely. She didn't waste another half a word. That same midnight, this batch of nuclear material dropped directly across the whole internet. It plastered major platforms overnight. Su Yao, wearing a new alt account, arranged all the hard evidence with airtight logic and explosive emotion, throwing out a shockingly scandalous long post. The title had explosive magical realism. Prestigious 985 University actually smashes the rice bowls of all its poor students. To protect a rich kid's fragile ego. As soon as the post went live, it was like dropping an atomic bomb into a cesspool, instantly blowing up the internet's public opinion. The rich boys' brain-dead statements, the school leaders' disgusting attitudes, and the idiotic, constantly changing decisions. Every single word precisely crushed the netizens' bottom line. Whole school stars for an ego. 985 sky-high cafeteria meals. Principal's hypocritical humanistic care, these hashtags, took off like a rocket, crazily dominating the top spots on trending searches. The entire internet collectively lost their minds. The fury in the comment section could burn a person to death through the screen. What era is this? There's still these dog officials treating regular folks like fools. Fooling around. That guy Zhao Xian is literally a textbook giant baby, infamously brain-dead, heartbroken for Boss Lin, bitten back for doing a good deed, and ultimately forced into becoming the scapegoat. See, university might as well just stop doing admissions altogether and just change your sign to Royal Noble Academy instead. This incident absolutely pierced the heavens. The school admissions office's phones were instantly paralyzed with calls. Higher-ups for the Education Bureau called straight into the principal's office, fiercely handing down a strict order to thoroughly investigate and give an explanation. Principal Zhang and the entire C University senior management collided head-on with the most terrifying dead end since the school's founding. I sat steadily at my quiet food window, looking at the screen full of push notifications on my phone, and calmly took a sip of hot tea. What I was playing was a move to pull the rug out from under them, killing with a borrowed knife. Since you didn't want to think about how to solve the problem, then I found someone who could solve you directly. Come on, Principal Zhang. Is this storm I personally handed you intense enough? Facing the tsunami-like storm of public opinion. The C University administration's kneeling this time was light speed. By the morning of the second day of the scandal, Principal Zhang led a bunch of folks from academic affairs and logistics, formed a luxury inspection tour, and marched imposingly into the cafeteria. Their goal was extremely clear. They headed straight for my deserted, sky-high mini bowl window where you could shoot a ghost movie. Principal Zhang forced a fake smile onto his old face, looking creepier than if he were crying, in front of the whole venue of melon-eating students and the media's array of cameras, the lenses locking tight on him, gripping my hand. He forced a wave of crazy, overly enthusiastic acting. Spouting hot air, he crazily praised me for caring about the students and being courageous in innovation, expressing full and utter affirmation of my previous blind messing around. Then the tone shifted as he shamelessly claimed the school had reflected deeply and that doing consumption upgrades still needs to consider the poor students' empty wallets. Finally, he forcefully elevated the tone, solemnly announcing that the whole school would stand behind Boss Lin Yu, encouraging me to continue making good quality and affordable cheap meals for everyone. This smooth combo both lifted me to the heavens and laid out a step down for the school. After the monkey show was over, he quickly pulled me into a secluded corner and shooed away all his followers. In that exact second, the thick mask on his face completely shattered. Boss Lin, Brother Lin, consider me begging you to show some mercy. Raise your hand and give the school a way out. If this thing stays on the trending list, my official hat is definitely gone, and the school's reputation will rot entirely. Let's look at the Buddha's face, if not the monk's. You graduated from C University after all. You can't just watch your alma mater get ripped apart by the whole internet, right? The old fox stubbornly forced out the emotion card. I sneered wildly in my head. Principal Zhang, you exaggerate. Where would a lousy food vendor like me get such great power? I only care about one thing. Who's going to reimburse the money I threw in? I'll go broke and compensate you for everything. The old guy was so scared he pinched his thigh hard. Terrified I'd flip out. That sky-high receipt of yours. The school will pinch its nose and accept it all. And we'll renew your lease for 5 years as a get-out-of-jail-free card. And cut your rent in half. This massive hemorrhage was definitely them going all in. Looking at the extreme panic in his eyes, I knew this old geezer had completely given in. Fine. Principal Zhang looked like he had just been let down from the guillotine, letting out a long, heavy sigh. However, I have 3 more conditions, instantly pulling his heart back up to his throat. First, the official website and social media must post a pinned headline announcement to publicly kneel and apologize to the whole school regarding this price hike mess. You must admit in black and white that the school engaged in formalism and bureaucratic behavior. Second, that ridiculous young master Zhao Xian must publicly read an apology next Monday at the all-school morning assembly in front of tens of thousands of people, and bow his head to apologize to all the poor students who went hungry. His lips trembled uncontrollably and wildly. I intentionally paused for 2 seconds. Third, the cheap buffet can be revived immediately. But old man Zhang, vegetable and labor prices are all rising now, and my mental distress is also a messy bill. 15 yuan per person. Eat as much as you want, all you can eat. This is my absolute bottom line. The price has to go up. I'm here doing a long-term business, not here doing poverty alleviation. Before, at 5 yuan, that was me being kind-hearted and showing compassion. Now 15 yuan is the ironclad rule I'm setting down. I have to make these people learn a lesson. Kindness must be traded with hard cash. Whoever dares to trample on my compassion, I'll smash their ice bowl. Principal Zhang's face was like a chameleon, shifting from pale white to a suppressed iron blue, and finally turning to dead ash. He stared dead at the phone screens, relentlessly bombarded trending topics. He seemed drained of his last ounce of fire. Fine, I agree to everything. Having endured a week, C University finally ushered in a crazy day that could be carved into the school's pillar of shame. Monday on the official website's front page. The humble apology, personally drafted by the school office, bolded in black font, pinned right at the top, hung there for 3 days and 3 nights for everyone to see. Just as dawn was breaking, a massive crowd of over 10,000 people on the large sports field stood like terracotta warriors waiting to watch the big show. After the flag raising, a bone-thin, ghostly figure, under the dead stare of over 10,000 pairs of eyes, moved extremely stiffly up to the podium. It was Zhao Xian, getting close to the microphone, tightly gripping that apology filled with words. He shook like he was in the late stages of Parkinson's. Taking a massive gulp of cold air, he finally began his public execution. Teachers and fellow students, good morning, everyone. I am Zhao Xian, a freshman from Shinkong College. His voice cracked completely, full of an uncontrollable panicked crying tone. Starting from his utterly bizarre bullshit ego, he began to read, completely stripping off his own selfish and arrogant, disgusting underwear, kowtowing and apologizing to Su Yao, who fainted from hunger, to all the poor brothers who chewed dry bread, sliding to his knees in apology, wildly making amends to me, who was forced into being the scapegoat, and finally to the thoroughly disgraced school, completely begging for forgiveness. Reading towards the end, he convulsed several times and almost passed out, crying so miserably it was inhuman. The entire crowd of tens of thousands down below stared dead at him as if looking at a corpse. No one clapped, no one cheered. There wasn't even anyone breathing heavily. Towards a dense, dark crowd, he bowed straight to a 90-degree angle, wishing he could just die right there on the stage. Inside, sources revealed that his rich biological dad rushed to the school overnight last weekend, dropping a massive sky-high cafeteria improvement fund, specifically to add drumsticks for all the poor students as hush money. Once the morning assembly dismissed, the starving students broke out like zombies out of a cage, rushing madly into the cafeteria. The front of my stall was completely packed to the bursting point again with a sea of heads. That pretentious mini bowl sign had long been smashed to bits. The window had changed back to its original down-to-earth, honest look. Right in the dead center position hung a newly placed, insanely eye-catching red background. Large yellow sign, Lin Yu's Kitchen, 15 yuan buffet, eat all you want. In a gap at the very bottom of the sign, an incredibly provocative small line was added. Friendly reminder, glass-hearted young masters are denied entry. This shop does not entertain any bizarre complaints about damaged egos. The students squeezing in front looked up and saw this line and instantly erupted into synchronized hysterical laughter. This directly became a hilarious classic scene, carved into the DNA of the whole school's students and teachers. An extremely dark-humored, hardcore campus legend. From that day on, a guy like Zhao Xian completely vanished from the face of the earth at C University. Rumor has it that his dad quickly rushed a suspension for him, packing him up overnight and throwing him abroad to lie low. That old geezer, Principal Zhang, occasionally passed by on inspection, spotting me from a distance, twitching his mouth with an extremely complex look in his eyes, quickly greasing his feet and sneaking off quietly. I just kept doing my thing every day, wearing my apron, standing at the window, waving a big ladle, crazily serving food. Take care, classmates. Eat and drink well, don't be shy. This brand new 15 yuan version of the business was simply even more heaven-defying than the 5 yuan days. Relying on the school's massive financial hit and that astronomical billionaire sponsorship, the food quality took off right away. Before it was 6 meats, 6 veggies. Now we bumped it straight to 8 meats, 8 veggies. Sometimes unexpectedly, I'd even add spicy stir-fried crawfish and sizzling roasted fish as a bonus. The way these starving ghost college students looked at me was no longer like looking at a cafeteria uncle. It was simply like looking at a living Buddha saving them from misery. No one called me the tacky boss anymore. They all eagerly trailed behind my butt, shouting, "Brother Lin, brother you." The poor girl, Su Yao, completely became my right hand woman. After class, she'd kill in the kitchen, outputting crazily, with food in her belly and no longer worrying about a livelihood. Her whole gloomy aura was swept clean away. The smile on her face just couldn't be hidden. The girl, full of ambition, made a pact with me. Upon graduation, she absolutely wouldn't go slave away for a boss. She'd join forces with me to smash the Lin Yu's Kitchen sign right onto the map of universities nationwide. I took my pure hard-earned cash, dragged the student union in, and secretly set up a private grant, firmly avoiding those flashy, useless garbage names. I simply and brutally named it the Meal Devourers Fund, specially and precisely targeted to give to those whose families were dirt poor, but had huge appetites. We had to let them open their bellies and eat to their heart's content, thoroughly achieving freedom of feasting. In front of this window, no one would ever again, because of asking for 2 extra scoops of meat, feel like they lost face. Everyone would even unscrupulously hold their plates and wildly roast each other. Damn, bro, your appetite is solid today. This is fucking trip number 5, right? Nonsense. We absolutely cannot let Brother Yu's burning passion down. Every year at the start of school, there are always clueless rookie freshmen gathering beside the seniors, gossiping about the sky-high mini bowls and what the hell that damn ego thing was all about. The old veterans would spit flying everywhere, reenacting this epic comeback fight of the gods. Satisfying ending. The conclusion must always firmly hammer in the exact same hardcore advice. Remember this. Little bro, at C University, nobody cares if you fail a class or skip. But even if it kills you, don't mess with the food vendor, Brother Lin Yu. His humanistic care will absolutely send you straight to reincarnation.